here, Wing Chun DC. This is tutorial number 14. So today I thought we would look at some Tai Chi, and the Tai Chi that I want to specifically talk about actually is a form of Tai Chi called Yang. It's called Yang style Tai Chi Quan. And it's practiced. So there's a couple of Wing Chun players. There's a guy called Sergio Ladarola, who heads up the IWKA Wing Chun organization, and he has he's probably come to some very similar conclusions that I have come to over the years. That basically Wing Chun, a blend of Wing Chun and Tai Chi principles, is probably your best bet to have a more complete martial art. If you look at Wing Chun can often be too rigid and too inflexible, particularly as it relates to the body. And Tai Chi can often be too soft, too pliable, and not direct enough. It's not aggressive enough to function properly as a combat art. So if you combine elements and aspects of both of them, I believe you come up with a kind of a superior version of Wing Chun or superior version of Tai Chi, whichever, and I think that there's a kind of a gradient. You can lean towards one way or the other, more Tai Chi, more Wing Chun. That's up to the player, and I think that can change over time. Your chi, when you practice it in chi sao, your chi sao you can train soft chi sao, you can train hard chi sao. Sometimes you like one thing or the other, and that can change over time. So anyway, I think both arts are definitely worth exploring. I've definitely incorporated a lot of Tai Chi elements into my Wing Chun, and using this video here, I'm going to kind of explain what this guy's doing, number one, and number two, like how you can implement this into your Wing Chun, how you can implement this into your Chi Sao. So what we're going to look at here is a very short video by a guy called Sifu Mauro Gibin. So Mauro Gibin is an Italian guy, I believe, and he's a student of Sergio Ladarola. I've seen some of his stuff before. I think he's excellent. I think he's really, really good. He's practicing here push hand set with one of his students, I believe. So anyway, it's quite nice to look at. So we're gonna play here. Here we go. So he's talking about non-resistance, right? So if you look at what they're doing here, this is a kind of a classic Tai Chi push hand set. So the opponent here pushes the hand in. Okay, so he pushes on the arm, and you see what Moro does. I don't know how you pronounce his first name, but Moro, I think. Anyway, Moro. So look, he pushes it in, and the arm completely collapses, and so does the body. The body rocks back and forward with the motion of the push. And then he catches the other person's center. So the opponent's pushing in. Moro collapses his arm, and his body sways back, and then when the force is dissipated, when the force of the opponent is dissipated, he then pushes the other guy back, pushes his opponent back. So unless his opponent does exactly the same thing, collapses his body and collapses his arm, he's vulnerable to getting his center caught, right, or his body disrupted, right? So Moro here is doing obviously he's a superior player here, so his student is pushing in on him, he's collapsing, and then sticking to his opponent's arm, following it back, and then finding his opponent's center, and pushing him off his feet. So he does it over and over and over again. So it's really, you can see he rocks back onto his back foot here. So his weight shifts from his front foot to his back foot as the pressure comes in. You can see my mouse. Pressure comes in, he rocks back, elbows collapse. So in Wing Chun, it's worth pointing out that the elbow here, we don't, according to Wing Chun theory, you don't collapse the elbow. And that's for, a good reason. I think particularly when it comes to striking, but I think that you should, at least in my opinion, you should be able to collapse the elbow. You should have the confidence to collapse the shoulder, collapse the elbow rather, because for various reasons. I think the first one is that you have to be able to build something. You have to be able to deconstruct it. So Wing Chun, we have elbows in, right? But then if you have to be able to deconstruct that, and deconstructing it, you have to learn how to use the elbow out as well. And what's the difference between elbow in and elbow out? And can you handle pressure with both your elbow in and both your elbow out? So I think once you learn to do both, you can switch between the two, so that you can decide according to the pressure. Ideally, I think your elbow would want to be in, particularly in a combat situation where there's strikes involved. But you want to be able to collapse the elbow structure as well. So I think this is where Tai Chi stuff comes in very, very handy. I think because it's using it's deflection. Okay, so it's you're just. So the title of this video actually is quite good. It's "Don't Collapse, Don't Resist." So you're kind of doing neither. So Mauro here is doing neither. He's neither collapsing and he's not resisting either. He's just flowing with it. And that's how you deal with someone pushing your elbow in. You just, okay, that's fine. You just kind of flow with it, and don't panic. Because a lot of times what happens in Wing Chun, if someone pushes your elbow out of position, you can start to panic, and then kind of you don't know what to do because you've no longer got your structure, you've no longer got your arm in front, so you can feel very vulnerable. But if you're used to dealing with pressure that's coming into your body, past your elbow, then you're not going to panic. So that's a really important thing, is to practice these positions so that you don't panic. It's like if you were to practice kind of jiu-jitsu or grappling as a complement, to complement Wing Chun or Tai Chi, it would be, in my opinion, I see myself as a Wing Chun player, but I practice jiu-jitsu because I want to be able to. I don't want to go to the ground, but if I go to the ground, I want to be completely adaptable and completely pliable when I go to the floor. And I sort of view Tai Chi in this way too, as a kind of a support art to your Wing Chun. So it just means that you're able to adapt from one situation to the other, and you have just more weapons in your arsenal. So we'll just keep watching, because it's I think this guy is really. He's really good, very soft, very fluid. You see his shoulder is very, very relaxed as well, right? There's absolutely no tension. So if you look there as well, okay, we'll just rewind that a bit. What he's doing, he puts his hand on top of the guy's shoulder here, and what he's doing is he's sinking force down into his opponent's body, right? And if there is tension in the body, and if you don't dissipate the force or use structure to generate your own force, what's going to happen is you're going to become disconnected from the floor, which is what's happening. And this guy is wearing his socks, so he's not. He's a bit of a disadvantage here. But no, maybe not. Maybe they're those grip sock things, so maybe all right. But yeah, everything he's doing. Yeah, he's putting force. He's sticking to his opponent, and then finding his opponent's center line. He's not there when the guy pushes in, and then when he returns the force back, the other guy can't handle it because he isn't able to deflect or dissipate that energy. So we'll just watch it. We'll go back. We're just going to go back a little bit and watch some more. Watch him flow a bit. Tell you anything else I observe here. The shoulder stuff is great as well. Absolutely zero tension in his shoulder. If you look at his stance as well, if you look at his structure, so his structure rocks back and forth. So he's got this. This is more Tai Chi-esque than Wing Chun. Wing Chun is more kind of straight up, but Tai Chi, because the legs are slightly further apart, what you're looking at here is he's got a similar structure, less leverage. You're going to have less leverage from this position, but you're very stable as well, because look, you see the angle of this. his body frame angle is very, very stable and able to take pressure. If the more straight up you are, the less and the more you're forward facing, the less pressure you're able to take. So you see this in MMA a lot. When fighters are clinching, when they're wrestling, you'll kind of see this leaning forward type stance. But what's interesting is that he can flow. He can go from straight up. He can change it, right? So he can flow from one structure to another very seamlessly, and that's good. It's a very good sign of Tai Chi. Dealing with energy. So yeah, he just doesn't care about his elbow position at all, right? So the guy puts forward pressure on, his elbows collapse completely. You know, in Wing Chun it's a no-no. Tai Chi, they're not fussed about this at all. And I think that's where you kind of want it. You should try to do that as well. You should in your training where you don't care whether your elbow position is collapsed or not. You're able to do it seamlessly. Look, and he's pulling. So now the guy's, again, he's not balanced properly or connected to the floor, so he's pulling him off balance, which is, and then catching his weight and then pushing him backwards. So it's a very, very sophisticated Tai Chi player, Mauro Gibin. So hats off. I really like this guy's style a lot. Anyway, so that's that's it for today. I highly recommend looking through some of this guy's stuff. I think the IWKA philosophy on Wing Chun is really good. It's excellent. I think that Sergio Ladarola has come up with a lot of the same kind of conclusions that I have. And this is, I came to this independently. I came to this idea about mixing Wing Chun and Tai Chi together, just over, for me, just having, through Chi Sao really, just realizing that being able to be more flexible in Chi Sao was helping me, and it was helping my students. It was helping my students to get comfortable in positions they weren't necessarily comfortable in, and Tai Chi fits in really, really well there. So that's why I sort of started to play with Tai Chi structure and to play with Tai Chi principles in my Wing Chun. Anyway, so any questions on this, please leave a comment below or shoot me an email, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And do your own research on this guy and his instructor. I think it's well worth your time. And okay, we'll see you next time.